This is Matt Cozy from the future. We recorded an episode a few hours ago here on a Wednesday evening that detailed the Cubs possibly moving on from Alex Bregman. And I'm here to report after that episode that we recorded, which you're going to still hear that segment, plus a fantastic discussion on Marquee. Definitely stay tuned for that second segment of the show. Alex Bregman has signed with the Boston Red Sox, just broke about 9:30 Central Standard Time here on a Wednesday evening. Bregman to the Red Sox, 3 years, $120 million. That's a 40 M's AAV. Chandler Rome was first to report from The Athletic. ESPN's Jeff Passan is saying there's some deferred money in the deal, but a 40 M's AAV was apparently only going to be done by one team. That was much, much more that was speculated on. So the Cubs are out of the Alex Bregman sweepstakes, as are the Detroit Tigers. Buster Olney said the other day it was going to be Cubs, Tigers, or Red Sox, and it is indeed the Red Sox landing the third baseman, Alex Bregman, who I think might actually play second for them, with Rafael Devers in the fold, of course, for them. So we'll see how the Cubs pivot this week. We do talk about the possibilities to do that, whether it's Justin Turner, another reliever, Dylan Cease, or someone else. And then the fantastic Marquee discussion. Here we go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen or watch every day. Subscribe on YouTube. And if you are watching on the YouTubes, then like the video and comment anything below. Spring notes later in the show. I guess there could be a spring notes segment really every show now. I would say a big marquee segment. Cubs TV and how they're presented is very close to Sam and I. So we're going to talk about some things with them. But we start with Alex Bregman. As spring training has now opened for all 30 teams, the Cubs still have an offer out to free agent third baseman Alex Bregman. Most teams, including the Cubs, would like to have a clear picture of their roster soon, possibly by the first game next Thursday, or maybe even sooner, because of multiple free agent targets still on the board, not named Bregman, that makes sense for the Cubs. This is from Matt Trueblood of Northside Baseball, who was the original person to report the Cubs offered Bregman in the first place. Quote, "Sources indicate that the team is pressing for an answer from Bregman on the multi-year offer they've already made to him within the next several days. President of Baseball Ops Jed Hoyer and company consider Bregman a top priority if he can be had on their terms that suit their needs and preferences, but they want to either get that deal done and move on to the necessary subsequent moves or gain clarity on where they can pivot." Close quote. So yes, the Cubs have a chance at Bregman, but Sam, I'm starting to believe there is a chance the Cubs move on from him first.
Yeah, that's a good bit though from Mr. Trueblood, because it tells me, I closed yesterday's show with the fear of ending at $215 million before opening day, which I deem to be unacceptable despite what they could do at the trade deadline. But it sounds like from that article, the Cubs probably want to get some answers, because if it's no, they like to do some other stuff. They like to get some other stuff going. And I don't think that just means Justin Turner.
It's more, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. So that's overall a positive bit that you shared. As far as the Cubs go, would they move on from Bregman before him? No, it would be something like, it would just be like what he said. Hey, we need an answer by February 20th. And then if they don't get it, to me, if he wants to come here, he'll give them that answer anyway. It'd be like a mutual parting of ways. With Bregman, here's where I'm at on this. And I was just being my sarcastic self in the cold open, because it is a bit tiring. Where I'm at with him is this. I believe he has the years and money on the table, but I believe it's to places he doesn't want to play. And I think the Cubs are still there because I think the Cubs are one of the places he would like to go. But he's going to have to pick a lane. Do I go for the years and money, or do I take a little bit yet less years and go somewhere where I want to go? And I think that's the decision that he is fighting right now. I have no inside info on that at all. That is just, I'm trying to read the tea leaves here, read between the lines, and how is this taking so long? Because I believe that some ball clubs have offered him 5-6 years, and some haven't, but the ones that haven't are really actually what he wants to go.
Yes, and February 20th is a realistic target date for this to be settled on the Cubs' end. And you might say, well, Matt, Cody Bellinger signed after the Cubs started games up last spring on February 25th. Bellinger signed. They started games a couple days prior, but Bellinger was literally down the street. He had been on the Cubs the year before.
Right.
I do think in that sense, it is a little bit of a different situation here. And to go over the list of possible other targets, it does encourage me, because at this point, Sam, and you could let me know what you think, and then I'll go over the targets. I wouldn't be disappointed if Bregman goes to the Tigers, Red Sox, Astros, or Blue Jays. I just wouldn't. And I think it's because of some of these moves they could pivot to. Right now, they're at 209 and some change for the luxury tax payroll. If they get two of these players, they're going to definitely be in the 220s. And I think that's a fair spot to start the year, especially if owner Tom Ricketts is to be believed, that by the end of the season, they'll be close to 240. Given what may or may not happen at the trade deadline. So first of all, would you showcase any disappointment, sadness, melancholy, bitterness over, as people continue to question my vocabulary, if Bregman signs with the Astros, Blue Jays, Red Sox, or Tigers?
Hey, look.
Go Cubs.
It's better than, what would you rather have? Question your vocabulary or your hygiene? You know what I mean?
It's ridiculous, man.
As not really snowing.
No, it's not.
Would I have any disappointment? I think the only disappointment would just be this is dragged on longer than it should have. And so once something takes this long, you'd like the result to be in your favor, because then you look back and go, my goodness gracious, did we waste our time on this? So I think it would be more of a media disappointment than actual wins and losses at this point, depending, of course, what they do to pivot.
Right. True. And let's go over three of those categories, and then we can react to some of these player options. So Justin Turner is the best target for right-handed hitting help at first base.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Canha is a solid person as well there. We've talked about Paul DeJong before, but he doesn't play first. But I just wanted to cover our bases there.
Well, they're interested in Bregman, so.
Right. True. For the bullpen, David Robertson, I would guess, gets the deal Kenley Jansen got with the Angels the other day.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Could they get another reliever?
Yes, I believe so.
I mean, they got a lot of them.
They can if they want to.
That just doesn't.
It's probably less of a priority. It probably is. Yeah.
At this point, Brazier, Presley, Hodge. I mean, there's your three at the end. I know you need depth, but it just feels like they have quite a few.
Well, Kyle Finnegan was connected to the Cubs earlier this offseason.
Oh, yeah, he still hasn't signed.
Yeah, lefties Jalen Beeks and Andrew Chafin could also be options this late in the process.
Remember like a month and a half ago when they were like, hey, the relief market's going to really start to go. Well, there's still like a bunch of guys unsigned.
A bunch. But I think this is the place that intrigues me the most, although Turner or Canha would be nice additions. But I really do believe the Cubs continue to be opportunistic in the starting pitching market.
Mm-hmm.
And especially so, as Jeff Passan pointed out in his notes the other day, if the Padres sign Nick Pivetta to a 2 or more year deal,
Yeah, Cease is
then
gone.
Dylan Cease's trade likelihood increases dramatically
Yeah.
because he's a rental. And the Cubs are one of the only teams that can trade for him given their major league surplus and their prospect surplus.
And their salary. They could fit
Right.
him in. So
13.75 for Cease.
This is what I was going to say. I believe that if the Cubs don't land Alex Bregman, their focus will shift to Dylan Cease.
Right.
That's what I believe.
That'd be great.
And I have an episode for Friday in the making talking about it. It's a great transition to this, assuming nobody signs in between now and then.
Sure.
Talking about the Cubs are in a win now situation. Their window is open. So to answer my question from a few weeks back, why would they have two rentals? Because Jed needs to win now. And Jed even admitted that he's feeling a little bit of anxiety when it comes to his job and just not having just the uncertainty that comes with it. So, I could see the Cubs shifting to Dylan Cease and doing whatever they can to put an exclamation point on their division status.
Well, there was a little bit of news, albeit maybe one that we assumed, but it was confirmed the other day. Carter Hawkins is in his last year too.
Right.
So, which probably means the rest of the ladder over there at Gallagher Way are all in their last years.
Everybody say it with me. Urgency. There's
Right.
urgency. There's urgency, and I love it.
There really is.
And I love it.
Wow. All right. Coming up next, we're going to get into some Marquee Sports Network news. Really, really looking forward to this segment. Sort of.
What a tease.
We're going to get... We just wish Marquee was better.
Folks.
We wish Marquee was better. But we're going to break all that down next. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by our wonderful, wonderful new partner at Wonderful Pistachios. See what I did there? Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. It's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving is 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep you feeling fuller longer. I personally love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for my busy school days, whether I'm snacking at my desk in between classes, going to and from school, or I just need a quick protein boost. They're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, then the in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. These little green wonders pack a protein punch. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that is one of the highest protein nuts and packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com. Marquee Sports Network will broadcast both games of Cubs-Dodgers in the Tokyo Series on March 18th and 19th. First pitch, 5:10 a.m. Central. Our very own Sam Olber will be on for at least the first few innings of that March 18th ball game, but we'll get to more details as we get closer to that. Uncertain if these games are also national on ESPN or TBS or MLB Network. The Soul Series in March of last year was on ESPN, but those plans were announced way back in December of 23, and there's only 33 days to go here, so not really sure what the national broadcast plans are. Sam went over this on his Friday show last week, but Alex Cohen last week was named a full-time backup to Boog Shambi, who, again, is doing Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN Radio. But in around that same announcement was the one where Marquee is broadcasting 17 spring training games this year.
Yeah.
That begins Friday, February 21. All 17 of those are home at Sloan Park. Actually, there's a couple exhibitions in Japan. But since the network's inception in 2020, they've showed both home and road games. But this is the first time they're doing exclusively home games. So I wanted to go over that, Sam, first, and then I have a little bit of history to go over, including and matching that history from when Marquee was announced to their current daily schedule. But go ahead.
Yeah, look, I hope it's a better year for Marquee, and I say that understanding that when you're the fan of a team, when you're a fan of a team, and the team's losing, the broadcast is never going to feel that great, right? Because you're just frustrated. It's just how it is. So I understand that since Marquee has been created, the Cubs haven't been very good. That's important to note, and I acknowledge that. But I also remember in 2023 when they were playing really good baseball in July and August. It's still my issue with Marquee is it doesn't feel like a Cubs broadcast. It feels like this corporate, choreographed. Everything is kind of predetermined what you're going to say, stats. It's such a far cry from WGN and Comcast, and even when they went to ABC there for a couple years towards the end. It just and maybe I'm being closed-minded, and you and I have had this conversation. It's got to be over a dozen times now off the air because Boog is a really, really good announcer, but I don't think he's a great fit for being a Cubs guy. Why? Because he's just not. He's not a Cubs guy. And that matters to me. And so I hope this year the team's really good and they could take a step forward in just making that broadcast feel like home to me. Like when I used to watch on Comcast or WGN, like I remember as a kid even I would get so excited for the intros, like for a 120 before the 1 p.m. part, just the intros, it was just felt so classic and homey. And with Marquee, it feels like I'm just sitting down and, I'm going to get a baseball lesson on WRC Plus and how everybody's been the last 9 games. And I just wish it felt a little bit more like home. And that's just my personal opinion. And I hope this year with a 90-plus win team, that'll help us get there.
Man, there's a lot of great things right there. I'm still really hung up on this, and this is what has brought me down this line of thinking was that they're only doing home games in spring. I really want to revisit their words at launch, because I really believe in my heart of hearts that we were sold a bill of goods. And in front of me, I have a news story dated February 13th, 2019, when the Cubs announced Marquee will be their exclusive new TV home beginning the following year. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking this, like, wow, this is going to be the Cubs channel. It was always branded Cubs channel, right?
Yeah.
Here's a quote. Cubs and Sinclair Broadcast Group, who's the Cubs partner in this, in addition to the team themselves, say that fans will get unprecedented coverage of the team 24/7. Albeit the offseason, Sam, can I go over a recent broadcast schedule on their channel?
Please.
And this is actually courtesy of my colleague, Chris, who we discuss media stuff all the time. There was 5 hours of true Cubs programming out of the 24. That's 21% of the day Cubs content. Here's what they showed. 3 hours of the Compound podcast with Ian Happ.
3 hours?
3 1-hour reruns of the show. And folks, and I've listened to the Compound more since we saw it live with Sammy Sosa.
It's a good podcast.
It's not really a Cubs show.
It's a good podcast, though.
7 hours of paid programming. 5 hours of college volleyball, all reruns. 4 hours of a classic Cubs game. 1 hour of Supergirl Pro Surf. 1 hour of Cubs flicks, replaying highlights of the 1920s and 30s. 2 hours of a replay of women's basketball from Australia, and finally 1 hour of Chicago Bears coverage.
This got to be the title of the show.
It's not a Cubs channel.
Man, I don't think they're making a whole lot of money. And I think when you're not making money,
It's the same ads all the time.
Plans change. Look, I'll say it right now.
Okay.
You know, we're available.
Wow.
Hey. I may not be, everything's great in Cubs land. I'll bring you some viewers.
You bring the content. You bring the juice.
Bring some juice.
Absolutely.
I'll be better than, paid programming or whatever that is. I mean, what is
7 hours of it.
What does that mean? Excuse my.
It's infomercials, gambling shows, stuff like. It's a mixture.
Did they put that in like the overnight slots at least, I hope?
Yes, most of it's overnight, sure.
Okay. Because if that's on at 4 p.m., then there's
the wee hours, yeah.
Yeah. Well, some of us stay up that late.
But some of it's in morning drive, like 6, 7 a.m.
No, this is a great poll by you. This is the show here.
Okay.
I wish
Wow.
I opened with this.
We'll have to tease it out tonight.
Yeah. I think that this has been a failure so far, and I think they're kind of admitting it, and I think their spending admits it. And first of all, let me say this.
Yeah, we actually asked that question one of our very first shows in July of 22 if it was a failure.
I'm a diehard Cubs fan, but I also, with all due respect, don't have interest in 24/7 content. So I think even I think the premise is tough. Like, it just is like, my dad's a diehard NFL fan. He doesn't watch the NFL Network all day. You do other stuff. You have other entertainment stuff. So I think even so, it was a dangerous gamble to make, especially considering I don't think it's a stretch to say that many, many, many people are fans for the Cubs because of the way they were telecasted.
Oh, absolutely. That's not a reach at all.
I was going to put a percentage on it, but that felt unnecessary. So I feel like the plan to begin with just felt a little arrogant. Hey, we won the World Series and, this and that. And then to their defense, ever since they've done this, they've had a lot of bad luck. What did you say that piece was February of 2019, right?
Yeah.
2019, they weren't good. They didn't make the playoffs. Interest was low. Then COVID hits. Right? And they miss out essentially on an entire season, saying 60 games.
100%.
Then you got to do what's best for the on-field product. Schwarber, well, that wasn't, but Rizzo, Bryant, these guys really start to struggle, and you got to sell off, which is the most unpopular thing, albeit the right decision baseball-wise for the most part, in my opinion. It was the worst decision for marketing. It was the worst decision. I am sure Mr. Ricketts and Crane Kenny, when this idea came up, it was, we're going to have a dynasty, and Javi and KB and Rizzo, they're going to be at the center of it. I mean, to this day, the most popular jersey you still see at the stadium is one of those guys. And so them leaving, it really lost interest. And then they've been either not good or mediocre since then. So everything, it's kind of been the perfect storm of wrong. And so I think what you're reading right now is just a product of them being in trouble with this thing.
Absolutely. And I genuinely want to see it improve. I do think there's good aspects of it. And the
camera works good.
Yeah, the graphics are amazing. The visuals are incredible. I think that there's some top-notch producers over there. And if Boog was on this show, I don't think it would be an unfair or mean question to first almost set him up with his resume. And then say, why do you sound different on Marquee?
I don't watch him enough elsewhere, so I'll leave that to you.
You think
he's a different broadcaster on Marquee than he is elsewhere, which he should be, but more so towards the Cubs.
Yes. Yeah.
I watch him occasionally do Big 12 Mondays. He's good. He's really good.
Oh, with hoops. Yeah.
Yeah. He's really
Baseball is just so different.
Yeah.
When I was listening to the World Series this past October, I just couldn't believe my ears. I couldn't. It
What do you mean? Elaborate. Like, what do you mean?
was just such a polished,
Oh,
well done broadcast.
yeah.
95% baseball, in-game action, hit us with some stats, maybe an anecdote every now and then.
Right. Well, he's on radio.
Right.
He has to do that. Well, I see, that's where
True.
I veer off though. Cause like, I do think he sounds polished with us. I just think to me, my problem with him is that it's the same boog. It's the ESPN 1000. You're calling the Yankees playing Baltimore on a Sunday night.
No Cubs.
The same way you call the Cubs play St. Louis when it's 3-3 in the 7th. That's my issue with it. Now, I will say he does veer off. He does veer off a little much, like with stories in the middle of big moments. But I've actually gotten used to that. Like I actually like. It's so hard because I think if I ever were to meet him, if he's listened to the show, which he may or may not have, he probably wouldn't want nothing to do with me because I've been really critical of him. But I actually like him. First of all, everybody loves the guy, so he's obviously a super nice guy.
Same here.
Yeah, so he's obviously a super nice guy, and he seems to be a super nice guy. Like you could just tell. It's just sometimes like really nice guys and really talented guys. It doesn't mean you're a fit for this specific thing. I just want him to bleed blue a little bit more.
I've known about, as a media nerd, I've known about Boog for over 10 years with his connections back to Miami radio with Levitard. And
I will say I did lose a little bit of that when his interview with Kyle, because that came off like, sometimes he comes off like, oh, the fans just know nothing about baseball. It's everything that Jed says, Carter, Craig, it's just about, hitting homers. And it's just about this. Like, there are nuances to the game of baseball that people like you and I do have knowledge about.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, great segment. If I could evaluate it in the moment, great segment on Marquee. And, we'll try to have to push that out after we're done here. All right, to finish the show, a few notes on pitchers, little clarification on Dansby Swanson as well. Final segment here, Locked On Cubs, Thursday episode. Sam will be back solo on Friday. As we've been doing since September, I'm in the 4-episode week formation. That's a change we decided a while ago. And so Sam will have you on Fridays. And then that day of the week will change a little bit when the games start, but we'll get you those deets later on. I've come to really enjoy the Sam Solo Fridays myself. So very good. Nate Pearson will indeed be stretched out this spring, but stretched out as a multi-inning reliever.
Interesting.
I like it. Why can't a reliever face one time through the order, nine dudes? Never understood that. Maybe Pearson could do some of that. Conversely, then Cody Poteet, because we were all asking about him, will work out as a starting pitcher. Craig Counsell, a little bit of a Star Wars reference here, said Ben Brown is, quote, fully operational. And hashtag Death Star. And
I like Craig
Swanson
so far.
Is not expected to miss any time. What?
I've enjoyed Craig's pressers a little bit more so far. It's a very early observation.
I told you, man. He's that second year in a place, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it's only been a few days, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. He seems a little bit more energetic. Can I share something? Because I have nothing to comment on what you just noted about. Besides the Pearson
it's
thing.
Just information. You're right.
Yeah, Pearson thing, fine. Hopefully it works out. He's got great stuff. I'd love to see him take the next step. No
Go
comment
Cubs.
on Poteet. I didn't have in my bingo card that Dansby Swanson was missing any time, so glad that was confirmed. Yeah. I had a dream a couple nights ago that Craig Counsell got thrown out of the first game in Japan. I didn't tell you this.
Wow.
And like he stormed. By the way, I dream about the Cubs a lot.
Really?
Yeah, they're on my mind. You dream about what's on your mind. I had a dream that, like, I don't remember what the context was because I don't, I don't sleep very well. But I just remember waking up and, like, smiling. He stormed out of the dugout onto the mound and was, like, kicking dirt on the mound and got thrown out. And I wasn't doing my watch along, but I was watching and I was like, this is gonna be a great year.
Whoa, he was angry.
Yeah, like really angry.
So to the mound, I wonder if there was like a bad balk call or something.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I just, I'm ready for baseball to start.
Absolutely.
As far as my watch along goes, I'd like to go as long as the internet lets me for at least the first one.
You're gonna do the whole game this time.
Well, I don't think I can. I don't think because I can't charge. I don't have enough devices in my computer to charge for 3 hours because you're taking up a lot of juice. You're watching a game and
Right.
you're recording. But I think I'm just going to go as long as I can. Which, if it's a quick game, sure, maybe it is 7 or 8 innings. What else am I going to do? If I'm not doing a watch along, I'll fall asleep.
Well, we'll have a post game about what would that be, about 8:30 a.m.
Or are we going to feed right into a post game that day?
Yes.
Oh boy! So I won't be.
We're doing a post game.
Oh, so I won't be sleeping till about 10 a.m.
Correct. Maybe 10:30.
Oh, so I might. So you know what? I might just forget it. I got a job, so I'm just gonna have to just eat that day then. All right.
I took a personal day a while ago.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'm gonna do that.
Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs.
Take any more days off. This will be my only job.
We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. This is one of our best episodes of all time. Be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube as we make the push to 13,000 subs.
Before opening day.
Or leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. Remember, you can comment on Spotify now. Great. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.